spring is here, and we are well into the season, meaning that the weather is starting to warm up and feel overall nicer. Unless you live where I do, where one day you feel as though you might die of heat stroke and the next your legs might freeze off. But with this change in weather comes a new season of anime. This season is one that I've completely adored because of the sheer quantity of rom-coms and slice of lives being put out. Looking back at last season, there were quite a few big entries to watch, being Dress Up Darling, Demon Slayer, and Attack on Titan. But this season, while not having as many big names, has given us quite a few options for shows to watch. So jumping right into it, one show that has surprisingly caught my interest is Otome Game Seke wa... Oh wait, the English name might be easier here. Trapped in a dating sim, the world of Otome games is difficult for mobs. Which, yes, I know what you're saying. God, we're starting out with an isekai, how generic could we be? But I don't think I've seen a show put a character into a game they had played before, and use the knowledge from playing the game to be successful... Oh, villainess. Well, Villainess didn't have mechs, okay? Just looking at the first episode alone, it feels quite generic, but the world flips the way typical gender roles can be seen in most fantasy. Men are the ones being married off, so all the guys are trying to be appealing, so that they can marry into some wealthy family. Our main character, though, he couldn't care less. After being reincarnated in this game he has played, Leon becomes filthy rich from a hidden treasure and enrolls in the academy where the game takes place. Why he does this, I'm actually not quite sure. Once in the school though, events quickly begin to change from those he had seen in the game. A side character, Marie, takes the place of Olivia, who was the main character of the game, and it is later hinted at that Marie was also isekai'd into this world. But if that can't sell you, what about 2D mechs, huh? The show is obviously not the prettiest thing, but it still has this very intriguing concept that overall I feel like it's a solid like 6 out of 10 right now. Maybe it can be better, but we'll have to see. While we're on the topic of isekai, what if we had a show that took the entire concept of isekai and just flipped it on its head? Well, that is exactly what the execution and her way of life aims to do. In this world, people are summoned from Japan so often that there is a starting town that just has adopted so much of Japanese culture. People are routinely summoned to hopefully gain some power or something along those lines. And now, we can just look at this pure and just girl and see, even she says so. Psych, she is not pure in the slightest. Menuo, this girl murders Buddy, who we saw isekai'd at the beginning of this first episode, and says that her purpose is to rid the world of the Japanese, to prevent them from destroying the world. I mean, whatever you gotta do to justify racism, I guess. I'm not here to judge. Pull back the curtain for a moment. I was gonna use that bit to compare Menuo to Adolf Hitler and the Nazis, but then I realized that's probably not a good look for my search history to try and edit together, so you can just imagine it yourself. On the sequel side of things, we've got Shield Hero, a show I haven't watched, but I mean, I'm sure it's probably just more of the same, right? Oh yeah, same kind of thing about Date Alive, but not being sarcastic. I haven't watched it. I'm sure it's great though. I mean, it's got a 7.91 on Mal, so that has to mean something, right? I've heard great things about it so far, so if you were a fan of it before, I'm sure you'd still enjoy it. On the side of sequels that I am actually watching, there is Komi-san, which overall is still more or less what you would expect from the show. Komi still has trouble talking, Tadano can't grow a pair and ask Komi out, Najimi is making people question their sexuality, and Yamai is still horny. Like, obscenely. But I mean, we're getting some new characters at least, like totally not Kanji, as well as the Chad that is Komi's brother Shosuke, who can talk but simply chooses not to. Also, Komi held his hand.
Oh boy, that makes me so happy, I'm lightheaded. Whee!
Okay, so maybe Komi isn't quite your thing. Can I introduce you to Aharen? No, not that. No, not like that either. There she is. Wait, that's actually a boy. Is this you, Aharen? Yes? Okay. So the show revolves around Aharen Reina and her high school life with Raido. The dynamic between the two creates this really wholesome environment that makes you feel warm the entire time while watching the show. Raido has this one-sided rivalry going on with Aharen during episodes as he cannot find himself a singular W. He loses in Totally Not Pokemon to the Theory Strat, he loses in ping pong, basketball, baseball, any sort of festival games. You name it and he will lose in it. And a lot of the comedy boils down to Raido misunderstanding Aharen or any sort of situation because, well, you know, Aharon is undecipherable, but somehow it doesn't get old. The lengths that Raito jumps to because he misunderstands Aharon is written in a way that just makes sense for all the characters involved. This was the show that I was looking forward to the most in this season, and it has definitely lived up to my expectations. One other show in the sequel corner is Kaguya, the biggest mind game in all of romance, which I'm still really enjoying. Still has that classic humor that we all love, but what I has really enjoyed is the amount of screen time Hayasaka has been given so far, because, you know, she's canonically best girl.
She's right, you know, and that's why she's best girl.
She spends much more time with Shirogane in this season, becoming an actual friend of his, while also actively working to avoid Chika by playing under the alias of a male, Herthaka, which leads to some interesting assumptions from Chika's part. And one final thing before I move on from this section, what is going on with the endings? Like, the main one seems so out of place, but on the wrapping episode, there's just this huge performance put on by Chika, Ino, Shirogane, and Ishigami. Like, come on. At least have the best rapper participate.
Damn, she good.
Look at her. She is just absolutely precious. Now look at her. She is beautiful. Now look at him. Oh, wait.
Oh no, he's hot!
Spy X Family. Or Spy Family. Wait, do we pronounce this X? Oh, screw it. Spy X Family was one of the most anticipated shows for this season, and for good reason. The concept is quite interesting and has been executed very well so far. Here we have an agent, codenamed Twilight, who has forsaken the idea of living a normal life with a family in order to do his work as a spy. But a mission comes up that forces him to build up this fake family with the hopes of infiltrating the school of his new target's son. This family includes Loy Forger, a spy, Yor Breyer, an assassin, and Anya Forger, a telepath. The dynamic between these three keeping secrets from each other provides an interesting take on the idea that all people have secrets hidden, no matter how close you may be with them. In terms of genre, the show provides a good mix between action as well as the slice of life genres, definitely leaning more into slice of life at times. Ultimately, I feel as though it's really good, wholesome fun that features a dynamic between leads that work quite perfectly, along with some of the most relatable phrases. And amazing expressions. Then there is the girl that everyone thought was gonna break the internet, Shikimori. But for some reason, no one seems to care about her. This series has some of the most prettiest designs of characters this season. Like, look at those eyes! Shikimori and Izumi just have the most wholesome relationship that creates this dynamic that just makes you happy the entire time while you're watching. It reminds me quite a lot of Tonikawa, having this wholesome couple who is still so scared to commit the ultimate lewd act, hand-holding. But for some reason, my boy Izumi here is just complete isekai bait. He is constantly falling into harm's way, and the only thing keeping the show from being titled, "I'm Almost Dead Again in Another World," that time I got reincarnated as a very clumsy pretty boy, is Shikimori constantly stepping in. Oh god, why does that sound like an actual title? Oh yeah, also for some reason this show has Bakugo? Like, come on, try and tell me this isn't him. They literally even have the same voice actor.
Okay, so I've got an idea for an anime that doesn't exist.
What you got for me?
Feminism. A society of women living by themselves believing all men are horrible. However, there is one person that has become interested in men and is hiding it while trying to learn more. And you know what? Make those girls ninjas while you're at it.
Well, nice try.
In the Heart of Kunoichi Tsubaki has a premise that is unlike any other. However, the premise slowly falls in on itself as the show goes on. The beginning of the series heavily relies on the idea that men are just horrible creatures that cannot be dealt with. However, the series very quickly takes a turn and shows that men were actually fine the entire time. The sensei had just been lying to these girls in order for them to learn properly? What?
やってて楽しいんかね。頭悪そうな奴らや。ボールよこせ言うたらアホみたいにずーっとやってくれそうや。猿にうまく芸仕込んだな。おい。
So we've got a new soccer anime. We haven't seen one of those since... Oh no. So, Sakura hasn't really had a good anime yet, but this might be where things change. As a person who has loved Sakura ever since I was young, I have really high hopes for this one. Aoashi focuses on this boy, Aoi Ashito, and his love for soccer. He ends up being scouted by this large youth team in Tokyo and joining the team. The use of symbolism using crows is quite creative within the series. Wait a minute, this is just Haikyuu, but with soccer. You know what? As long as it's good, I'll take it.
1年ぐらい前から居候させてもらってます。
水臭いこといいな。みんなここんちの子やって思ってんで。
So, this is some not related by blood type of relationship we're building up here, huh?
この人が勝手に言うてるだけや。
何よ。
まだ10歳なのに。
Wait, she's 10. Guys, I was joking. So here we've got Nagamo, just an average guy who had all of his friends abandon him and had to go back home, only to find his new tsundere little sister? Daughter? Acquaintance? Okay, that calmed her down. This little girl, Itsuka, has been working at Nagamo's parents' sweet shop because her real parents had something better to do, and for some reason, Itsuka just can't deal with Nagamo. This creates a very simple slice-of-life premise where throughout everyday activities, Nagamo is trying to win Itsuka over. Wait, not like that, not like that! The OP is very low-key too, very calming song. I highly recommend you go listen to it, even if you're not gonna watch Daimon. Yo, this kinda like Squid Game, the anime. Come on, laugh. Yeah, that's better. Tomodachi Game looks into an interesting facet of game theory called the prisoner's dilemma. Most people have probably heard of the prisoner's dilemma, but if you haven't, the idea is that a group of rational people working together will ultimately choose to protect themselves rather than help each other, even if working together would produce the most optimal outcome, commonly due to mistrust. Tomodachi Game takes a look at this theory and how it can affect a group of high schoolers put in this type of scenario. This group of friends is entered into the Tomodachi Game after one of them stole the class's 2 million yen required for a field trip, but it is revealed that they are in debt for a total of 20 million yen. The friends are then encouraged to take even parts of the debt on themselves to erase it completely throughout the game. These different games that they play throughout the entirety of the Tomodachi Game, while seemingly simple, end up showing the characters going through some sort of mental gymnastics reminiscent of an Olympic athlete. Most of our main cast here have some sort of deeply rooted desire that caused them to become a part of this game. Every week, this show is the one that I anticipated the most, that I was the most excited to watch, as every single week I was left on some interesting cliffhanger that I really want to know what happened next. If you listen to no other recommendations I give in this video, watch Tomodachi Game. It has been my personal favorite from this entire season. I'd like to continue talking about this show more, but I'm starting to go a little over the time for this series. But if you want to hear me talk about it more, I'll make a separate video going on it more in depth.
乃木くんが言い名付け。
これは壮絶な恋の物語。
Then there's a couple of cuckoos? Cuckoos? However you pronounce this word, English is hard, okay?
Cuckoo.
Okay, so it's Cuckoos. Got it. Another show in the slice of life / rom-com section of this season. These two were children swapped at birth, which, if you ask me, I don't know how that happened considering how different these two look. Like, how do you mess this up? But now the parents have decided to keep it in the family and arrange for these two to marry each other. The problem arises when Nagi and Erika don't want to marry. Pretty simple premise. I've heard some people comparing it to Domestic Girlfriend, but I don't know about that, as it doesn't seem to be that extreme. Thanks for watching this far. If you enjoyed, a like and subscribe are greatly appreciated. Also, if you're interested, I have a separate gaming channel that I've had for much longer than this. The link will be down in the description. Anyways, thanks for watching, and catch you in the next one. Peace.